Hi everybody and welcome back to Rebellious Menstruation. This is like the third time I have tried to film this video, but we'll give it another go. If you guys want, I can put up all my mistakes. Okay, so this is a Q&A. This is the second Q&A and it will be a series of Q&As. Any questions that you have, either ask below, you can email me, you can tweet me, you can go onto my Instagram. So there are several ways to do this, but however I'm going to go over the questions that I have so far. The last video was about disposables, a little bit about disposables. This one's going to be about reusables. So the first question is, how many should I order? I briefly went over this in my disposals video, but basically I feel that there are three things that you need to consider. One is your financial situation. This will dictate how many you can afford, how long will you take to create a stash that is suitable for you, and to a certain extent it kind of could limit how much you have to spend on stuff like postage and handling, and so may limit your geographical makers that you can order. And the third one is laundry. So kind of part of the things with this is, how often do you want to wash? What is your current washing schedule? Do you want to increase or decrease your current washing schedule? Do you have access to a machine, or do you have access to a machine in your basement of your apartment block, or do you have to use a laundromat? Because all of those things are going to come into how it's a consideration that you need to have. In Australia, we tend to have a lot more, our laundry facilities are part of our house. Generally, I do not know a lot of people that don't have in-home access to their laundry facilities. And actually in the house I currently live into, we essentially have an outhouse laundry, but you know, you still have one on the property and one have personal access to a washing machine. I've noticed in the UK, the people that do have washing machines tend to have them in their kitchen, and they tend to be combined washers and dryers. And you know, I live in a house, I live with a washing machine, and I have a Hills hoist at the back. If you don't know what a Hills hoist is, you can wash it, but essentially it's an outdoor drying line. But I have noticed that in the US, especially in apartment blocks, you will tend to have your laundry facilities communal and in the basement. So it's just another thing to consider when you're doing cloth pads. There are quite a few videos out there about how people deal with this, including the alternatives that they have used, including like at-home washing machines and little washing machines that fit into their bathrooms or whatever, or however you want that. So if you consider all of those things, you would then consider how many that you need. The other thing is, how many do you, when I said how many do you currently use in your cycle, I mentioned in the previous Q&A about disposable pads, I use between 40 and 60 to 65 single-use products per menstrual cycle, which means that's what I aimed for. I didn't get them all at once. That's what I aimed for after I realised that it was very bad advice to get to use 12 to 20. I realised in most of the blogs, vlogs, Q&As that most people suggest 12 to 20. I used 27 pads in my last cycle, and for 2 of those days I wore a cup. The cycle before that, where I did not use any cup, I used 47 pads, which is actually about average for me when I use single-use products. So when I first ordered, I went from the advice that was told to me. I ordered 20, I ordered, I think, 8 to 10 moderates. I think it was 10 moderates and 10 heavies. And they did not last me my cycle. They lasted me 2.5 days with my cycle. My cycle goes for 6 days. Yeah, so that wasn't suitable for me. So the best advice I give you is the one that I just gave you. How much do you currently use? What's your financial status? And how much do you want to do washing, because you might be able to get away with a stash of 12 to 20, but you may have to do your washing every 2 days. And bearing in mind that because these are pads and because these have inner cores in them, they will take longer to dry. The kind of the side note to that question is why a stash is so big, and kind of if this is part of a low impact movement, or kind of a low impact movement, isn't it kind of redundant to have so many pads? And the answer to that is kind of flows on from the last bit, is it depends on what you want and how many you need. Again, I use 47 in a cycle, in November cycle, and I used 27 plus a cup for 2 days in December cycle. So having a stash the size of mine, and mine is about 75, is not that an order. And keep that in mind, 30 of them are liners, and I wear liners every day, and depending on whether I come home and get changed, I could wear 2 to 3 liners a day. So a stash of 30 is not that excessive. So it's not that disordinary for me to have a stash the size that suits me. I'm also not really planning on getting any more at this point. There are about 6 that I like, but I just like them because of the prints, and I wouldn't be getting them for any other reason than I like the prints. The biggest stash that I have seen personally is from a vlogger called Charm Cycle, who has approximately 200. However, if you actually watch the 2-part series she did on her stash, you would realise that she made about 150 of them herself, because she sews herself, and she purchased only about 50 or so, or swapped them with other makers. So if you don't have these sewing skills and no one else in your life does, you can just get what you need and are able to. It's not a challenge. Somebody who has 200 pads in their cycle, it is not a challenge for you. You need to figure out what suits you best. And in fact, I ordered these last 2. These are my most recent cohorts. I haven't done a review on them because I haven't actually used them. Is this one? This one's from Erin Sweet Sew. I have done a review on her products, but I have been obsessing over getting a Eeyore one for ages, and I finally saw Eeyore, even though the main one is Piglet and Pooh, but I had to get one with Eeyore on it. And obviously this one here, Hocus Pocus. It is a great Halloween movie. It's got Bette Midler in the front. It does have the ladies on the wings. I think another one that she had, this is from Orange Tulips Garden, had one, the girls all the way around, but I like this one. Had to do with, I like these. So really, quite often pad collecting will tell them this is a collection. This is like an art collection, and it's curated. So I've curated a collection that I really, really like and I really, really want. Next question is, what side up do I wear the pads? Essentially, how you will tell is essentially, you can see from this one, it has these lines on here. That means the core is being stitched to this side. If you look at the back, there's only top stitching. So this means that this is the side you wear it on, because this is where the core is. Now this one is a little bit different in the sense of it doesn't have this core stitching like this one, which means this is all stitched into the edge together, but this is the side that you wear it up, because you don't wear the fleece side against your body. The fleece side is the backer. If you notice, this one here has the 2 lines here, the middle one, the center one, and then the outside stitching. This means you wear it this way up, and then you'll notice that this backer is fleeced. So this one here is very similar to this one here, in the sense of it doesn't have the stitching down the middle, but it's corduroy back, so you notice that this is the back and this stitching is the top. So essentially that's the way, or you can just always ask. So I did have one pad where the print was on the back, but you could tell because this stitching, it's actually, so this stitching here, as you can tell, is along the middle, and so the crushed velvet on that pad, I de-stashed that into my sister, so I can't show you. But I need to use this as an example, is that the top stitching was here down the middle and the picture was on the back. Okay, so the next question is, what size should I order? There's a lot that goes into this. I have seen a lot of suggestions that you use your pad preference, or traditional is the wrong word, single-use pads as a measurement or guideline for the pad of your preference. So you take the pads that single-use pads that you prefer now, measure them, look at them, and use that as your guideline to buying cloth pads. While this is not bad advice, there are so many more options with cloth pads that it becomes almost irrelevant advice. So this one here, this is a Chinese cheapie. I will be doing a video on these later, but this probably looks more like a traditional pad. Straight up and down, plastic along the sides and at the back, and so this looks more like a traditional pad. However, it would depend on whether you're a front bleeder, a back bleeder, a middle bleeder, a side bleeder. It depends whether you go off the sides at night. It depends on whether you bleed up the back. I have bled so far at my back once that I hit my bra. I don't know how. Still don't know how. These are examples of, these are 8-inch. This is Go With Your Flow. This is Erin Sweet Sew, and these can be used for front bleeders or back bleeders. Because if you've noticed, this is where the curve is. So if you bleed predominantly to the front, or actually to the back, because you could turn around and do it that way, these are the type of pads that you can order. These don't exist in disposable single-use pads, but they do in reusable, because you actually get the capacity to be able to do that with, and makers have actually been able to do this, probably front bleeders themselves or back bleeders, or people who are catering to a specific market. In disposable single-use, liners are generally 5 to 8 inches, regulars are 9 to 10 inches, and heavy and overnights are 11 to 12 inches. They are almost always straight, as you can tell, like this one, or slightly curved, but really often no other options. Okay, so of this one is a 7-inch straight. So you can see this is very much traditionally based straight edged pad. This is from Novel Red. This is cotton quilters and fleece backed. This daisy and bird pad is cotton knit topped and fleece backed. This is light, but you can see it's slightly curved. Okay, so it gives you that little bit of protection, more protection over, say, this straight edged one. This is from Crimson Cloth Creations, and is cotton knit top and fleece backed. She has her own website. These two makers are on Etsy, and as you can see, she has this very much curved in. So this would work particularly if you're petite. This is very much a petite type of pad, as are these. So if you're a petite type person, you can get pads that suit that. Again, these are front or back bleeder ones. Both of these makers Go With Your Flow and Erin Sweet Sew. This is OBV, this is cotton knit, and they're both backed in corduroy. This type of backing is great because it grips onto your underwear, but these are options that you can take. These are both 8 inches, by the way. These three here are 10 inches, but as you can see from this one, it has this curved base, has more of a rounded head. This is from Venus Pads. It's cotton knit top, fleece back, and is actually one of my favourites. I nearly wear it every cycle because it works for me. It has these tail legs as well. This is a sitting cat from Kitty Cat Cloth. Again, 10 inches. This is OBV hand-dyed top, and this is a cotton hybrid PUL. Again, this is a massively flared pad from a San Diego maker called Miss Sandry Made. These makers are all on Etsy. So you can see this is quite a flared one. 10 inches, sitting cat 10 inches mermaid with a cute little mermaid print. This one here is a slightly flared one to almost straight by an Etsy maker called Orange Tulips Cloth. As you can see, this has got this kind of more square edge. As you can see, your options are a lot, and this overnight is quite flared at the back, so even if you're a back bleeder or a front bleeder, you can actually switch this around however you are. If you sleep on your back, if you sleep on your stomach, and cover off most of where you're going to bleed. So the important thing here is that you have far more options in cloth pads than you do in single-use disposable products. And as long as you know your bleeding cycle, or how you bleed, you know how you sleep, you can actually probably almost get all of the mitigated options for that. So the next type of thing is, what do you really need outside of this type of stuff? Outside of the actual pads, one thing to get is what's most frequently recommended is a wet bag. This is a wet bag that I have. This is one of the earlier wet bags that I got. I do have a video up on my washing cycle, so if you actually go and check that out, you'll actually see that when I'm at home, I put all my soiled pads in a bucket, a fleece lined bucket, so it has more oxygen flow around it. But this is the type of but when you've soiled your pad, you could get your soiled pad, you could fold it up and put it in this wet bag until your washing day. The important thing to know with this wet bag is that it is PUL lined, so it's essentially plastic lined. So if you have soiled pads on the inside, and you can hang it up, here's this thing, so you can hang it up on a rope or in your bathroom or wherever you actually are hanging up your soiled pads, in your bedroom, wherever, leave this open to allow the oxygen flow to get through. And this here is another cam snap that you can open and close at your leisure to actually hook it over stuff. So I do have a wet bag, but I don't use it when I'm at home, and if you watch my cleaning video you will see why. But this is PUL and plastic lined on the inside. So this is a wet bag. They do come in useful, but if you're just having your period at home, you may not need to get one. You can just use like a bucket like I do. Okay. Also, if you're out and about, so in what you need somewhere to store your soiled pads, you need somewhere to soak your soiled pads, so you can get a laundry bucket. You can do it in the bathroom, you can do it in your bathtub, you can do it in your laundry tub or in a bucket. It's totally up to you. So those are probably the two main important things: somewhere to keep your soiled pads, somewhere to soak your soiled pads before you wash them. Also, possibly you need oxygen bleach and probably some type of stain remover stick. I use a type of Vanish oxygen remover, and I'll just show you that. So I use this type of oxygen bleach. I also use this type of oxygen. This company here has an oxygen bleach, which I also have. How do you deal with your periods when you're out and about? If you follow me on Instagram, you'll see the stuff that I have posted about this. If you use a cup, you will need a cup spot to put it on if you've changed out in public. I have a couple of cup spots. You'll see it in my accessory stash. This is just an example that I'm using right now. If you travel and need to, say, rinse them out or wash them out where you are, these drying straps can come in very, very useful to hang them over the bar of the shower or something. to help you out there. When you're out and about, essentially I put all of my pads, and I'm going to be taking out with... Okay, for some reason my camera just turned up, so I don't know where we're up to. I think we're up to about here. Essentially what I do is I put all of my pads in here, and then I will go out. If I needed to change, so I just fold them up, put them in here, and then we'll be good to go. I usually take with me this type of pad wrapper. Here are 2 different types of pad wrappers. So when I go to the toilet, what I will do for the bathroom is I'll take a clean pad, I'll put it in my pad wrapper, put this in my pocket, go off to the bathroom, come back from the bathroom, and my soiled pad will be in here. So I usually take this. If you follow me on the screen, you would have seen how I take it. And then I will also take essentially what is a makeup bag. Don't be restricted by the things that you, if you have these already in the thing. So this is a type of makeup bag I've used before, as is this. These are 2 different sizes, as you can tell, but I can fit about 4 or 5 soil pads in there. Just fold it over. So what I'll do, actually I'll just do it like I did before, is this is the soil pad. I'll take my soil pad out of here, okay, and I'll put it in here. These will then sit in my bag until the next time I use it, and off I'll go. So then when I come home, I'll take my soil pads out of here and I'll put them in my soil bucket, waiting for me to wash them. Okay, I think this video's probably got over 20 minutes by now, but I think there's only one question or so left, but so we'll continue on. Also, what you can do when you're out and about, depending on how long you're going to be out and how many pads are you taking with me, is this kind of wet bag. This is like a dry, so essentially this, with this and this, functions as a wet dry bag, but I also work in an office, so I can kind of probably get away with this a bit more. But this one here, you will move this one out the road for you. This one here is a wet dry bag. So what you can do is you can grab your clean pads. You can have them in the front pocket, and then you can go off to the bathroom. This is quite small in comparison to the bigger one, but probably, you know, looks a bit different than these ones. Off you go. It is bigger than your little pad wrappers, but that's not the point. You go off, and then once you actually take your soiled one off, you put it in the wet bag. So these wet bags are lined in PE well, and then you can close it back up again and take this and put this back in your bag. So there are your options for when you're out and about. This is actually not a question I ever had, to be honest with you guys. It is really very, very little difference from having single-use disposable pads and tampons, except you essentially put them in your bag. They don't smell. I never had a problem with them smelling or being that type of stuff. So unless you're actually taking them out of your bag and throwing them around and showing people, they don't smell, no one's going to notice. And you know, I also don't rinse them out immediately, and the reason I don't rinse them out immediately is because I live in a very hot country, and as my country is so hot, it just would get mouldy and mildewy very, very quickly here. So I don't rinse them out. I just, you know, as I said, fold them up, put them in my wet bag and take them home for dry storage. That works perfectly fine for me. You may have a different way to deal with it. The last thing is probably leaking concerns. I have noticed some people kind of raise leaking concerns. At work, I will nearly also always wear this. I will always wear a cup. Not necessarily my first day, but on my second and third day, I'll definitely wear a cup, because I'm quite happy with my second day, but I very rarely have to change it. I can usually last and get home and that will be fine. So that clears up that issue. But with pads, there's the leaking issue. This kind of ties back in with how many your stash size is, your ability to change, and the size and shape that you get. I've never actually soaked through any of my pads or gotten it on my clothes, and I've only gone through or gone over the back of the pad. I've actually bled up and over the back of the pad in overnight, because obviously that's how I've been sleeping. So I've been able to change whenever I want to and need to. So again, this goes back to, how do you bleed? How often can you change? Are you in school where they refuse to let you go to the bathroom? Are you a front bleeder? Are you a back bleeder? Are you really light? Are you really heavy? If you have a limited stash, you may only be able to change every 3 to 4 hours or 4 to 6 hours. If you have a higher stash like I do, I can change every 2 hours on my heavier days. I can change every 3 hours on my lighter days, because I have the ability to do that. If you don't have a big enough stash, you're not necessarily going to be able to do that. So it's just some more considerations to when you think about the size of your stash, the shape of your pads, and the size of your pads is the leaking. If you have leaking concerns, do your research and get the right ones. Hopefully you'll stick around for the other Q&As. I have any questions, again, down below. Email, Twitter, Instagram, they're all down below as well. Have a good day. Bye guys.